How to light a cinematic interior look. Hello everybody, my name is Marco Bagnoli, I'm a cinematographer, and today we're looking at a commercial where they have this really nice monochromatic cinematic scenes that are placed indoor. And this cinematography breakdown, I'm going to show you how you can recreate the same look. This is the first shot we're looking at, and a lot of people would already avoid lighting like this. So what's the problem here? The problem for most people is this. You see that and think, oh, he looks pretty dark. There's not great exposure at all. We are clipping blacks in this corner. Why is this corner so bright? We are sometimes so focused to lead the view of someone, of the audience, that we think, the brightest part is always the important one. So there's a person in the image, we have to make him very bright, otherwise it looks unprofessional. But that's not the way how you get a nice organic look. You always have to look, okay, where's the camera? We built the set, this is the composition, we know there's this guy and this woman, they're talking on the bed. So maybe the scene is just this commercial, maybe it's just 3 seconds, push in, they're laughing, holding hands, blah, blah, blah. We are not here for story, we're here for cinematography. We have this big light source in this corner. The light is coming clearly from the window. And that's the reason why they even lit is that way. You can, so don't take my words always too hard. You can't light him from here when it makes no sense. There is no light motivation. This is the reason why a lot of times your cinematography looks fake, because there is no way that there could be a light. You need a motivation to make it look natural. You can make it look poppy, clean, but that's not the look that we want to create here. When you know, okay, this is the composition, use your light. This is a situation where you need a strong light from outside, 2400 storm, 5200, just a big light source, and blazes on the room. That can be really hard sunlight, no problem. We have the curtains that diffuse the light a little bit, maybe just throw in a quarter diffusion or something like this in front of the light, so that's not too harsh, because you can see we have a little bit roll off here, and that's it. They probably did even, because it's very difficult to control the bounce in a room like this, that they put here a lot of molten, so big black fabric across all the walls, so that the light is not bouncing back. We want this natural feeling that the light is coming from here, and so that we have this nice contrasty feeling. And actually, when you think about it, we see enough. We see that someone is sitting here, we see the motion of this person, can see a little bit of detail in his face, and that's probably all we need. Don't overcomplicate things most of the time. When you want this really filmic look, so what I mean with filmic look, really like a movie, it's movie look. Most movies light like this, that feels very organic. So this scene from a commercial is very broken, very dark, very contrasty, but a nice thing, a nice addition which you can add to your footage when you try to make it look like film. Here, in this case, it's not that extreme, but most of the time, when you're using a warmer white balance, you make your backlights even warmer. Or when you're in a daylight situation, you have to use also different color temperatures. When you look at old movies, most of the time, when it's indoor, night, we have warm bulbs, they used warm key lights to light the person. Everything is neutral. So they didn't go for the warm look at night. They actually shot here 3200, the bulb was 3200, and set the camera also to 3200, so that everything looks neutral. So when you try to get this old filmic look from like Godfather or something like that, there you will see a lot of even white balance across the scene. Nowadays we make everything a little bit more three-dimensional, so that we used 4000 on a face, then 3000 on a background, then 5000 on the windows, so that we have a little bit of color contrast. Here, as you can see, here's a bit cooler, this is neutral, this is warm. These are all steps that helps to make the image more three-dimensional. We don't only have light, we also have colors to work with. But in this situation, this is kind of the middle way, like I said before. And a shot like these are also very simple, because we are on the window. When it's daylight, light set, you will probably get a similar look. The only important thing you have to do, just a negative, a floppy on this side to kill the contrast on this side. And when there's no sun, just throw in a half 6x6 in front of the window, and then blast 2200D with a light dome to make double diffusion, and then you will get a very similar window look. When you want to fake looks like it should feel like a window, it should feel like a small window, you always have to recreate the similar size of your diffusion. So if you want a window look, your diffusion should be as big as a window, so you have a constant look that you actually want. Now we're in this bar situation, and here are also a lot of different things that are happening. Also here you can see everything is very monochromatic. We are very low on saturation on our skin tones and whites. Also here, this look very natural, this warm practicals in the background. So everything is a lot more neutral. So how did they set up a shot like this? Didn't add any contrast here. It looks very much like the ambience was in the room. Only thing they did is they added haze. Haze is a nice way to, even in daylight situation, fill in the room. And when you ever shot in a bar or something like this, you put down the camera and just film, it looks so empty and dead. So, or even at daylight, somehow the blacks are really crushing, so just a weird mood. But with haze, you can really lift the atmosphere, make everything a little bit more happy and more alive. Then you can add, like here you can see we have this light rays in the background. Everyone loves a nice light ray. You can just achieve them by putting the light at the right position in the near of the window, but the window has to have something like this so that light can break. So just blasting a light into a window with nothing, you will have the same effect. Try to have something that the light can actually break on to create this nice texture. So what is another thing that they've done here? I like to overexpose sometimes things. As you can see, the light on these people and this woman are actually very, very hot. And the exposure on these guys here is actually very, very dark. That's again to focus the view of something. It doesn't mean it has to be the brightest part. You just have to work in layers. And they decided, hey, the foreground layers, like this guy, her, and he, is a little bit darker. And then we make the background brighter. So we painted our dark paint onto the brighter paint. And so we still get nice contrast and our actors are popping in the frame. You can see in the close-up they actually transist the light now to hit it much harder on his face. He has still this frontal light from the side view, but they added this hard kicker from the side. When you go back to the wide shot, you can actually see he doesn't have this much light in his face. It's this light in the background that they're now mimicking, that it hits his face. And again here, as you can see, we're very hot on the skin tones. And I like to do this a lot because you don't have to always just have your skin exposure on the same levels. In real life, you also don't have your skin tones on the same level. Sometimes the sun hits you very hard, much more, sometimes it's very dark. And with moments like this, you can really enhance the feeling of, oh, it's bright sunlight outside, that you go so close for overexposing. When you have a camera that can manage this nice roll-off here, this looks very airy to me, and then it can handle this without problems. So be a little bit more experimental with your exposure on faces. Also the shot on hair is pretty interesting because we have this hard light that's coming from the back hitting his face, but she looks very soft. So on her side is a totally different emotion. What they've done here probably is this light that is coming from this direction. They hit here a big bounce board so that light is hitting the bounce board and bouncing back into her face. You can actually see also the next thing they can do another bounce board under her face. That we have this one light here and this one light here to fill in those shadows. As you can see, this is a very soft look and totally different from the guy before. And even here, if you are telling a story in emotion, oh, it's get pretty dark in here, the lighting doesn't have to be consistent. When this lighting is set up, this benefits more this mood and the other one benefits more this mood. Be like this. It only has to be somehow in the same universe and then everyone is fine with the situation. So this is another scene from a commercial and this looks much more poppy. But the rules they did here are pretty the same across the whole commercial. As you can see, windows are our best friends. We have these nice curtains that have really nice diffusion. There's clearly a butterfly frame in the background. So what they did here is put the curtains down, put a butterfly, and somewhere here on the ground or on the corner is a light that is setting the exposure. Just how bright do you want your window to be? Then there's some other light just blasting on the sky. so it has the feeling of nice sunlight from outside that's hitting in. So now here, where is this light coming from? So we can actually see here is somewhere light coming from, but there's no wide shot where we actually see, is here another window or something like this? That's the reason this scene pops a little bit more, or feels a little bit out of touch or not that organic, because the exposure on his face is very high in comparison to everything else in the room. So this shot feels a lot more lit than any other shot in this video, but that's okay. Now we have different emotions, somehow something about the product maybe, and that's the reason. Is there a tripod here in the corner? Oh, it's probably some other tripod for a guitar or something. Yeah, so like I said before, now you would probably say, Marcus said something before in the other shots, now he's breaking the rule. That's a great thing about cinematography. You can break the rules all the time in the same video. No one cares. As long as it works and looks good, everyone is fine. Believe me. In this close-up, you can see it even clearer how much key is hitting his face. And we have this hard backlight with a little bit of glow, and this key, I would put something like, it looks very bounced still. Put ultra bounce just in front of his face and then blast a light into it. Then I will check how the roll-off is, and when I like it, I will keep it like that, and otherwise I will still put a frost frame in between them for a little bit of double diffusion. And that's how you would light shot like this. Like I said before, you can clearly see this feels a lot more poppy and a lot more lit. So if you enjoyed the cinematography breakdown, I would really appreciate a subscription from you. My name is Marco Bagnoli, and see you next time.